Our differences aside, the problem here with us is for all of us. It's not only for UPND, it's not only for PF, it's for all of us.
From someone you might not like.
The prices of food stuff will start going down. That's what this particular debt restructuring is doing. Not immediately, but in a graduating manner.
This is the burning issue on the Happy World of 5FM Radio, bringing you hot, smoldering topics.
Now, to try and limit the time to say we shall deal with this within 5 months. Rushing the matter may lead to an injustice, or indeed, delaying it may lead to an injustice.
We as a party in government, after watching that video, it was nothing wrong what he said. Ours is to listen, because not the first time the church on a pulpit they are talking about injustice.
Your participation is important.
This notice of compliance from the National Health Insurance Management Authority, NEMA, serves to inform the public that all Zambian citizens and established residents of 18 years of age and above are required to register to their National Health Insurance Scheme in accordance with the NHI Act number 2 of 2018. In this regard, all self-employed citizens are required to self-register, while all employers must register their employees within 30 days of employment and thereafter make the prescribed contributions. Remember, registration and contribution to the National Health Insurance is mandatory by law. Be compliant, pay on time to avoid prosecution without further notice. National Health Insurance, leaving no one behind.
Wow, that over there is a very nice Ford. Have you seen it?
Of course. I have been looking at it since we got here. My worry is how people manage such vehicles and where they buy genuine parts from.
I'm sure there's nowhere else apart from Shuma Auto Parts. They are the only supplier of genuine Ford and Mazda parts, which comes straight from the manufacturer. They have everything in stock for both latest and ordinary Mazda and Ford. They also stock service parts such as diesel filters, air con filters, diesel pumps, steering pumps, turbochargers, engine overhaul gaskets, suspension parts, and body parts. If they don't have parts you're looking for, they can order within 5 to 10 working days. To top it up, Shuma Auto Parts also supply Maxxis tires and CST tires.
Really? But where are they found?
They are found on Chandram Sonda Road, Auto Workshop in Lusaka. Call on 0979 192057 and 0960747235. Email shumaautoparts@gmail.com. Shuma Auto Parts for all your genuine vehicle parts.
The Happy World of 5FM Radio, your adult contemporary radio station in Zambia, connecting you to the newsmakers and events that make news in the global village.
Good evening. This is the 5FM News at 18:30 with Judith Mope. The headlines. Government completes drafting artificial intelligence strategy. ESZ urged government to clearly spell out the timelines for signing of the final actual agreement with both bilateral and Eurobond creditors. Power cuts could last for days in storm-hit Texas. And now the news in detail. Government has completed drafting the artificial intelligence AI strategy, which is expected to guide the nation on how to harness the benefits of latest technologies. Technology and Science Minister Felix Mutati has disclosed that the AI strategy is expected to be launched in the next 2 months. Mr. Mutati says artificial intelligence has the potential to help the country to achieve its ambition to start producing 3 million tons of copper annually through enhanced exploration. Speaking on the sidelines of the ongoing Copperbelt Agricultural Mining Industrial Networking Enterprise in Kitwe, Mr. Mutati said artificial intelligence will bring a lot of economic benefits to the country as it will create alternative jobs in the economy and also fast-track mineral exploration. He further revealed that the ministry will next month host an artificial intelligence conference where the country will be prepared for a future with AI.
When machines shake hands, it means that they are exchanging data across the ecosystem. And that data is the one that is then used to support the application of AI. So it's simply called interoperate. And that's what we are doing. The third critical issue is to bring out the fear and suspicion from citizens because of AI. AI, when properly applied, will deliver economic benefits to this country.
And Acting Director for Technology and Science in the Ministry of Technology and Science, Dr. Larry Mwetwa, says consultation with stakeholders on the artificial intelligence strategy will start soon.
I think in a few weeks or months, we should be able to now bring it to the stakeholders. And here we are talking people in the mining, regulatory, and even atheists, so that we have stakeholder, consensus building. So that's the most important thing that that government has done, is to make sure that we provide a health ground in how we are going to implement artificial intelligence.
The Economics Association of Zambia notes that the recent developments regarding the Eurobond restructuring deal between the government of the Republic of Zambia and the bondholders has generated both economic and business interest in the country. The bondholders have positively responded to the call for consent to the restructured terms of the initial $3 billion Eurobond, whose claim had grown to about $3.98 billion by 2024, owing to accumulated interest and penalties. In a statement issued to 5FM News, Association President Oswald Mungule says the consent solicitation issued to Eurobond holders on the 13th May 2024 was a crucial step in arriving at the current Eurobond restructuring deal, adding that the full restructuring of the Eurobond under the restructured deal will see Zambia receive a cash flow relief of about $2.5 billion until 2025. Dr. Mungule, however, notes that the country's credit rating is still low, indicating that the country remains highly credit risk, while the sovereign risk, which is still high. He has urged government to clearly spell out the timelines for the signing of the final actual agreements with both bilateral and Eurobond creditors to effect the new terms, stating that the prolonging the process may further give uncertainty in the economy and erode the credit status gains. Police have charged and arrested Dan Pule of New Kasama in Lusaka for 1 count of expressing hate speech based on tribe and 1 count of seditious practices. Police Deputy Spokesperson Danny Mwale says Dr. Pule has been detained in custody waiting for court appearance. Mr. Mwale has also revealed that Lumezi Member of Parliament Munia Zulu and his Mfuwe constituency counterpart Maureen Muwonga have been officially charged and arrested for the offences of expressing hate speech based on tribe and seditious practices. On the other hand, Forum for Democracy and Development Party leader Edith Nawakwi and civil rights activist Brebna Changala have each been charged with the offence of seditious practices.
Dan Pule, aged 70, of New Kasama in Lusaka, for 1 count of expressing hate speech based on tribe and 1 count of seditious practices. Dr. Pule has been detained in custody waiting for court appearance. Meanwhile, police have officially charged and arrested Lumezi Member of Parliament Munia Zulu and his Mfue constituency counterpart Maureen Mawonga for the offences of expressing hate speech based on tribe and seditious practices, while Edith Nawakwi and Bredna Changala have each been charged with the offences of seditious practices.
The Mongu Subordinate Court has convicted and sentenced 2 former ZESCO employees of ZESCO Limited to 18 months imprisonment with hard labor for corrupt practices involving 10,000 kwacha. Anti-Corruption Commission Head of Corporate Communications, Timothy Mono, says details are that Brian Lupasa, a former ZESCO senior electrician, and Derek Kwalombota, a former ZESCO general worker in Mongu, were arrested in September 2023 by the Anti-Corruption Commission and jointly charged with 2 counts of corrupt practices by public officers. Mr. Mono explains that in 1 count, Mr. Lupasa and Mr. Kwalombota on debts between 1st November 2022 and 30th November 2022 at Mongu, being public officers jointly and whilst acting together, did corruptly solicit for the sum of 10,000 kwacha, case gratification form, a named person as an inducement to avoid the prosecution of the said person for engaging in electricity power bypass, a matter that concerns ZESCO Limited, a public body. He says further in count 2, particulars were that during the same period and in the same jurisdiction, the duo jointly did corruptly receive the sum of 3,000 kwacha, cash gratification, from the named person as an inducement for them to avoid prosecuting the said person for having engaged in electricity power bypass. In another development, the Chinsali Immigration Office has apprehended 12 undocumented Ethiopians aged between 14 and 26 for failing to appear before the nearest immigration officer on entry. Immigration Public Relations Officer Namatin Shinka says the Ethiopians were nabbed yesterday as they wandered the bushes of Mutambe Akasuba area in Shwangandu district around 11:40 hours. Mr. Nshinka says an abandoned Mitsubishi Pajero vehicle was later discovered in the area, and preliminary investigations suggest that they may have been transported from Nakonde in the Mitsubishi Pajero by unknown persons and were heading to Lusaka before they were abandoned in the bush. It says the Ethiopians have since been taken to Chinsali pending prosecution. Another story is trending this evening. Zambia's ambassador to Ethiopia, Rose Sakala, says Zambia is committed to deepening its bilateral relations with the government of Djibouti through expanding the scope of economic cooperation for the benefit of both countries. Zambia Police Service Commissioner Leslie Chikuse has urged the police to be prompt and professional in dealing with individuals that are in the habit of issuing divisive tribal remarks. Up next, the business news.
5FM Radio Business News. We mean business. Keep you current in commerce, trade, and industry, local and global. It's our business to keep you informed about business.
The Zambia Compulsory Standards Agency, ZISCA, is impressed with compliance levels for bottled drinking water being supplied on the market in Ndola district of Copperbelt province. Agency Acting Communications and Public Relations Manager Brian Hatioka says a recent market surveillance inspection conducted by ZISCA in Masala, Chifubu, Twapia, Pamozi, and Town Center in Ndola district has revealed that the bottled drinking water in most trading outlets is compliant with the Zambian Standards ZS 388 bottled drinking water specification. Mr. Hatioka says general compliance levels for bottled drinking water in the surveyed townships currently stands at 82% compared to 78% recorded last year. He says 38 manufacturers, brands and trading outlets inspected were compliant, while 8 were non-compliant. Mr. Hatioka says the nature of the non-compliance incidents included failure to register with SISCA as required by the Compulsory Standards Act and failure to indicate batch numbers on the products, which are key in ensuring product traceability.
The nature of the non-compliance incidents in the areas include failure to register with the agency as required by the Compulsory Standards Act number 3 of 2017, and also failure to indicate the batch number on the products, which is key in terms of tracing the product. The batch number basically will tell us where the product came from. So if you have a complaint on a particular product, you can follow the complaint from the source using the batch number. So those which are non-compliant, 8% in Ndola, they didn't have the batch number, so it was difficult to trace where the product came from.
That ends the business news.
5FM Radio Business News. We mean business. Keep you current in commerce, trade, and industry, local and global. It's our business to keep you informed about business.
In our foreign news, authorities have warned that power cuts could last for days in Texas, where hundreds of thousands of homes and businesses remain disconnected from the power grid after another night of severe weather. A teenager died on a construction site on Tuesday when a partly built house collapsed in a storm. Texas was among the states earlier battered by deadly storms and tornadoes over the Memorial Day holiday weekend, during which at least 24 people died. Here's a roundup from the BBC.
Nigeria has reverted to using its national anthem from almost 50 years ago. President Bola Tinubu signed the change into law as he marked 1 year in office. The anthem, Nigeria We Hail Thee, dates from the country's independence from Britain in 1960. Forest rangers have successfully rescued an elephant calf from a 9-meter well in the southern Indian state of Tamil Nadu. The wild baby elephant had accidentally fallen down the well on farmland adjoining a forest in the district of Nilgiris. It took more than 8 hours for rescuers using an excavator to dig a ramp down to reach it. Jurors in Donald Trump's criminal trial have begun deliberations. Earlier, the judge told them to set aside all bias they might have about the defendant and only consider evidence presented in court. Mr. Trump has pleaded not guilty to 34 counts of falsifying business records related to hush money paid to a porn actress. Speaking outside court, Mr. Trump repeated his claim that the trial was rigged.
And finally, in sports news, Chipolopolo legend Ranford Calabar paid a courtesy call on FAS President Andrew Kamanga this afternoon. Calabar, who is currently on the mend, was in the company of Clifford Mlenga, his fellow legend turned FAS Youth Development Officer. The 2012 AFCON winner updated Kamanga on his post-playing activities that include his taking up a CAF C license course. After their meeting, the Chipolopolo legend was gifted the Copa gear as part of celebrating his legendary status. And now the weather report brought to you by Classic On.
Class Econ Roofing Africa.
Class Econ Roofing, plot 17100 off Katanga Road, 150 meters from Mumbwa Road, Chinika Industrial Area, Lusaka. Class Econ Roofing. Class plus economy.
Class Econ. Class Econ Roofing Africa. Class Econ.
Most parts of the country have clear skies, windy and mild to cool. That ends the weather report.
Class Econ Roofing Africa.
Class Econ Roofing, plot 17100 off Katanga Road, 150 meters from Mumbwa Road, Chinika Industrial Area, Lusaka. Class Econ Roofing. Class plus economy.
Class Class Econ Roofing Africa. Class Econ.
And that weather report brings us to the end of the news this evening. But before we go, a recap of the top stories.